Giants aren't good at much of anything, but they have 31 sacks, which is by far the most in the NFL. And one would think, at least one would think, that'd affect the plan of attack against them. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates that I hope you'll also check out. Of those 31 sacks that the Giants have, 9 of them belong to the great Dexter Lawrence. Those sacks are going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem. To an extent, maybe. If there was one slice of news that stood out from the Steelers practice on the South Side yesterday, it's that Cordero Patterson was back in full swing and looks as if he'll be ready to return by next Monday night. If that happens, and do not undersell this, you'll have the trio of Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, and Patterson on the field together for a full game, really, for the first time. And you will want to run for more reasons than one. The Giants rank 6th in the NFL in pass defense, 25th in run defense, which means they're really good at pinning their ears back and going after the backfield, not so good when whoever happens to be in the backfield gets by them. And it stands to further reason that they can't sack your quarterback if he doesn't have the football. So, draw it up with me, and you've got an offensive plan that says run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Every once in a while, do something to keep them honest or to keep them from stacking in the box. And that's that. Game over, right? Well, yes and no. I mean, the Steelers are going to be rightly expected to win this game. They should win this game. Look at the team's respective records, the stuff I just mentioned, and they should win the game. That's not a prediction. That's an expectation. It's different. But if Mike Tomlin's to be taken at face value in those remarks that he made a few days ago regarding his decision to go with Russell Wilson over Justin Fields, then we should probably also take seriously that the move was made so that the offense can continue to grow in all phases. Russ, the other night against the Jets, was a big reason that that cause was advanced. He was able to spread the field. He was able to make smart reads. He was able to execute, at least in the second half, on those smart reads. He was able to get a lot of different people involved in a lot of different ways. And on top of all that, he was able to get George Pickens intensely involved just by putting prayers up there for a while. Now, I'm not about to get greedy and suggest that the Steelers don't need to be worried about winning. They need to be worried about how they win. I'm not into that. But I very much am into seeing this team put together a complete offensive performance heading into the bye. Sure, the 6-2 record should stand on its own merit, and I'm positive that to some it will. Sure, the defense needs to get some stuff straightened out, even though Daniel Jones is a train wreck right now and he's barely clinging to his job with the Giants by his fingernails off the edge of a cliff. But let's not pretend that there's a more challenging, I guess for lack of a better word, issue that faces the Steelers in the longer haul over the course of this season than the offense. And for these guys to be able to go into a bye week, to have a few extra days to feed off of that really, really good feeling that they've begun to build up over these past couple of games with 30-point outputs both times with 2 different quarterbacks. Yeah, maybe I'm asking a little bit too much, but maybe not. Because if this offense, just the offense, is going to get where it needs to be to contend, to seriously contend, to take on the Buffaloes and the Kansas Cities ultimately in the playoffs, it's going to have to be capable of doing at least a little bit of everything. In other words, the Steelers' running game is good. Is it very good? Maybe. Is it great? No. And it's not going to be great until it starts getting consistently significant yardage on first down. The tight ends have gotten more involved in the offense. That's wonderful. Pat Freiermuth had a couple of big plays the other night against the Jets. Are they even at the very good level when it comes to contributing to the offense? No. Wide receivers other than George? Don't make me start that subject up again. The line? I mean, they're just going to have to keep figuring it out week to week. I almost want to set them off to the side when thinking of this sort of thing. You're just going to need something to happen that no one could have foreseen happening. And the same goes for not one, but both of the quarterbacks. Neither Fields through his 6 games or Wilson through his one half of a good game have achieved anything. Certainly not at the very good or great levels. So yeah, win the game. Win the game. Go about winning the game however is required. Obvious, glaring, top priority. But keep trying to do it the way you would want to do it on Christmas against the Chiefs or in the games that you might be playing in January. Keep building the football team up. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar. Today's J1Q comes from Scotty, who says, DK, it seems like Najee Harris is well-liked and respected by his teammates, and the organization also appears to hold him in high regard. He hasn't been efficient, but the guy produces. Do you think it's possible that before not picking up his 5th-year option, the brass sat down with him and said something like, look, Najee, you're an important part of our team. We're bringing in a whole new offensive system, and we're not really sure if it'll play to your strengths. If it's not a fit, we don't want you to be stuck. And if you're going to be better off somewhere else, we don't want to hold you back. If it does work out, we'll make sure we take good care of you. Under Kevin Colbert, this scenario would be unthinkable, but with Omar Khan and Andy Weidel, they seem to work in a different manner. Am I nuts for even thinking about this? Well, the correct answer, Scotty, of course, to your final question is yes, you have taken this scenario to an extreme to which I'm comfortable calling you nuts. That said, respectfully, no, because it didn't happen. Najee addressed this himself. Back in Latrobe, he said he really wasn't given a reason. It wasn't a point of discussion. It wasn't something to which he would have had to agree with and definitely didn't agree with. He wanted the 5th-year option. He wanted to have the security that comes with that. Don't forget, don't make me be the bad guy to bring this sort of thing up, but these guys' careers can end in a single snap. And Najee, standing there that day above the steps near his dorm, told a group of us there'd really been no conversation at all. Now, is it plausible that a conversation like the one you're describing had occurred between Khan and Weidel and Mike Tomlin? Yeah, of course it is. And the reason for that is that when Arthur Smith came in, one of the things that the Steelers knew they were going to be doing is a lot of zone blocking. Now, this was, of course, when they thought that they had this supersonic high pedigree 3-deep offensive line, and instead all they ended up with was testing the 3-deep concept at pretty much every position other than Dan Moore at left tackle. So, yeah, maybe they wanted to see that. Maybe they wanted to see how he'd adjust. Would he hit the holes? Would he read what the line was doing? Would he read what the defense was setting up to stop him? And I'll tell you what, I've been critical of him in the very recent past, meaning his performance in Indianapolis. But over his past couple of games, he's shown a lot. And I thought he never showed more, to be honest with you, than in Las Vegas, because he did not have the 2 guys I'd mentioned earlier, Jaylen Warren or Cordero Patterson. It was on him. It had to be on him. There was no one disrupting the defensive timing. There was no one to make him think, oh, no, this guy's different. He's going to go around and hit the edge, or, like Warren, or he's going to go bursting through the hole, exploding through it the way Patterson does. He just had to get it done, and he got it done in most of those runs the hard way. Extremely impressive. Can't say enough about how well he played in Las Vegas. And then, of course, this past weekend, he gets Warren back. He gets his yang to his yin, I guess. And he proceeds to beat the Jets in a number of ways, not just the ways that he beat the Raiders. So if we're going to continue the hypothetical conversation that you began, would the front office feel better about extending Harris in some form or other now after seeing these first few games? I sure would think so. Is it going to happen in midseason? No chance. They're still the Steelers, even with different names. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.